Come closer, a tale is about to unfold. Rapunzel. Long ago, there lived a husband and wife who desired one thing more than anything else in the world: a child. For years, their prayers seemed unanswered. Then at last, the woman began to believe that her wish might finally be granted. Behind their house stood a small window overlooking a magnificent garden. It was unlike any garden anyone had ever seen, filled with rare flowers, fragrant herbs, and lush green plants that seemed almost enchanted. But no one dared enter it. A towering wall surrounded the garden, and it belonged to a feared enchantress whose power was spoken of in whispers throughout the land. One day, while gazing through the window, the woman noticed a bed of fresh green rampion growing in the garden below. The sight of it struck her with a strange intensity. The leaves looked so crisp, so vibrant, so irresistible that she suddenly longed to taste them. The desire refused to leave. Day after day it grew stronger. Soon it consumed her thoughts. She could think of nothing else. Because she knew she could never reach the enchanted garden, her longing slowly turned into despair. Her cheeks became pale, her strength faded, and she grew weaker with each passing day. Her husband became deeply worried.
What troubles you, my dear wife?
With tears in her eyes, she answered,
If I cannot eat some of the rappion growing in the garden behind our house, I feel as though I shall die.
Her husband loved her dearly. Seeing her suffer, he made a desperate decision. That very evening, under the cover of twilight, he climbed over the wall surrounding the enchantress's garden. His heart pounded as he landed among the plants. He quickly gathered a handful of rampion and hurried home before anyone could see him. His wife immediately made a salad from it and ate every bite. Never had food tasted so wonderful, but instead of satisfying her craving, it only made it worse. The next day, she desired the rampion more fiercely than before. She begged for more. Unable to bear watching her suffer, her husband returned to the garden the following evening. This time, however, he was not alone. As soon as he climbed down the wall, a cold voice cut through the darkness.
How dare you?
The enchantress stood before him. Her eyes flashed with fury.
How dare you enter my garden and steal from me like a thief?
The terrified man fell to his knees.
Please,
He pleaded.
show mercy. I did not come out of greed. My wife saw your rampion and became obsessed with it. She would waste away without it.
The enchantress studied him for a long moment. At last, her anger softened.
If what you say is true, you may take as much rapin as you wish.
Relief flooded the man's face. But then she added.
On one condition.
The relief vanished instantly.
When your child is born, you must give the child to me.
The man froze.
It will be cared for,
said the enchantress.
I will raise it as my own.
Terrified and powerless, he agreed. And when the child was born, the enchantress appeared exactly as promised. Without hesitation, she took the baby away. She named the child Rapunzel, and from that day forward, Rapunzel belonged to her. Rapunzel grew into the most beautiful child beneath the sun. Her golden hair shimmered like spun sunlight, and her beauty became the wonder of all who saw her. When she turned 12, the enchantress decided to hide her away from the world. Deep within a forest stood a lonely tower. It had no door, no stairs, no way in. High above the ground was a single tiny window. There the enchantress imprisoned Rapunzel. Whenever she wished to visit, she would stand beneath the tower and call, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Rapunzel's hair was astonishingly long and fine as gold. She would unfasten her braids, secure them to a hook by the window, and let them fall to the ground below. Then the enchantress would climb up using the golden hair as though it were a rope. And so Rapunzel lived, alone, hidden from the world, year after year. One day, the king's son happened to ride through the forest. As he passed near the tower, he heard a voice, a song. It was so beautiful that it stopped him in his tracks. Never had he heard anything like it. The voice seemed filled with longing, hope, and loneliness all at once. Captivated, he searched for the singer, but he found no door, no entrance, no path leading inside. Eventually, he rode away. Yet the song haunted him. Every day afterward, he returned to the forest simply to hear it again. Then one day, while hiding behind a tree, he witnessed a remarkable sight. The enchantress approached the tower and called,
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
To his astonishment, a cascade of golden hair tumbled from the window. The enchantress climbed up and disappeared inside. The prince smiled. At last, he had discovered the secret. The following evening, when darkness began to fall, he stepped beneath the tower and called out the same words.
Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair.
Immediately, the golden braid descended. The prince climbed upward. When Rapunzel saw him, she was terrified. Never before had she seen a man. Never before had she spoken to anyone besides the enchantress. But the prince spoke gently. He told her how her singing had reached his heart and given him no peace. He told her he had searched for her day after day. Slowly her fear faded. She listened, she smiled, and before long she found herself trusting him. When he asked if she would one day become his wife, Rapunzel looked at the handsome young prince and thought,
He will surely love me more than old Dame Gothel ever could.
She placed her hand in his and agreed. Together they devised a plan. Each evening the prince would bring a skein of silk. Rapunzel would secretly weave the silk into a ladder. Once it was finished, she would climb down from the tower and they would escape together. So night after night the prince came, and night after night their hope grew stronger. But secrets rarely remain hidden forever. One day, without thinking, Rapunzel said to the enchantress,
Dame Gothel, why is it that you are so much heavier to pull up than the young king's son? He reaches the top in a moment.
The words had barely left her mouth before she realized her mistake. The enchantress's face twisted with rage.
What did you say?
Her voice shook with
I
fury.
thought I had hidden you from the entire world!
Then she seized Rapunzel's magnificent hair. With ruthless hands, she wrapped the golden braids around her arm. A pair of scissors flashed. Snip, snip, snip. The beautiful hair fell to the floor, gone. And without a trace of mercy, the enchantress banished Rapunzel to a barren wilderness where she was left alone to endure grief, hardship, and misery. That evening, the enchantress returned to the tower. She fastened the severed braids to the window hook. When the prince arrived, he called out as always,
"Rapunzel! Rapunzel! Let down your hair!"
The hair descended. Unaware of the trap, he climbed upward. But when he entered the tower, his heart nearly stopped. Rapunzel was gone. Instead, the enchantress stood waiting. Her eyes gleamed with cruel satisfaction.
Aha!
She sneered.
You came searching for your precious bird,
She laughed.
but the bird no longer sings in the nest.
Then her smile darkened.
The cat has caught it. Rapunzel is lost to you. You will never see her again.
The prince's world shattered. Overwhelmed by despair, he threw himself from the tower. He survived the fall, but fate was not finished with him. He landed among thick thorn bushes. The sharp thorns pierced his eyes. When he staggered to his feet, darkness surrounded him. He was blind. For years he wandered through forests and wilderness, alone, sightless, broken. He survived on roots and berries. Every day he mourned Rapunzel. Every night he called her name, and
Rapunzel!
still he never stopped searching. Years passed. Then one day his wandering brought him to a lonely desert. There, carried upon the wind, came a familiar voice, a voice he had never forgotten. His heart leapt. He followed the sound, closer, closer, until at last he found her. Rapunzel. The moment she recognized him, she ran forward and threw her arms around him. Tears streamed down her face. 2 of those tears fell onto his blind eyes, and suddenly a miracle occurred. His sight returned. The darkness vanished. For the first time in years, he could see again, and the first thing he saw was Rapunzel. At last, they were reunited. The prince brought Rapunzel back to his kingdom, where they were welcomed with great joy. And after all their suffering, all their years of separation, and all the trials they had endured, they lived together for a long time afterward. Happy, content, and finally free. At its heart, Rapunzel is a story about the difference between love and possession. Dame Gothel shelters Rapunzel from the world, yet the same tower that protects her also imprisons her. It reminds us that care without freedom can quietly become a cage. But Rapunzel's freedom begins before she ever escapes. It begins with her voice, reaching a world she cannot yet touch. And when she finally chooses a life beyond the tower, freedom does not come without pain. She loses her hair, the prince loses his sight, and both must endure years of separation and hardship. Yet what finally restores the prince is not Rapunzel's extraordinary hair, but her tears, her love, compassion, and everything that survived their suffering. The tale reminds us that genuine love does not possess, isolate, or imprison. It allows us to grow beyond the walls built around us. And perhaps that is why the ending is so meaningful. After years of being hidden and separated, Rapunzel and the prince do not simply find each other again. They emerge changed by what they endured, finally able to face the world together and free.
What did you think of today's story? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more tales from around the world. If there's a story you'd love to hear next, share it with us below.